Okay. I'm gonna do introductions.
Okay.
You should probably say that in English so people know what you're talking about.
Welcome to Way Too Broad, a place for friends to talk about things that make them sound crazy. I'm Hannah, and these are my co-hosts, Aaron and Ben. Hi, Aaron.
Hi, Hannah. Hi, also Ben.
We had a... Oh, hi, Ben, also.
Hi, Hannah, and hi, Aaron. Thanks for the afterthought.
We had a technical difficulty. We recorded about the first 8 minutes of the show, and then I realized I was using the wrong mic, and Erin realized that something went wrong with her recording.
Something went terribly wrong, and I still don't know what it is, and I'm not certain that it won't happen again, so you might...
This whole episode just might be in, 7-minute chunks with little apologies in between. We'll see.
They might just ditch me and be like, only the technical competent people get to be on the show this week.
But we're going to try to keep the jokes fresh for you anyway. How was everybody's week this week? Aaron, you saw a good friend of ours.
Yeah, it was good. It was a busy week. I saw a good friend of ours. I don't think she listens to the podcast, so does not get a shout out.
So she is no longer a good friend of ours.
Dead to me. No, it was good week. It was a busy week, though. I was at we're supposed to all record early this morning. By early, I mean 10. But all of us overslept / forgot / now we're well into the afternoon. So.
I still sounded like a frog at 9:30.
That would have been an interesting aspect to this week's show.
Honestly, what happened was I set an alarm for 8 a.m. and then I woke up to it, and Como was sleeping between me and Kylie on the bed, real cuddled up with us, and I just couldn't get up with that. I had to stay, you know?
Yeah,
so I turned off my alarm.
Our dog is really good at, if you're taking a nap or trying to wake up in the morning, he'll, right when it's time for you to, absolutely need to get up, he'll, hop into the bed and cuddle so sweetly and, rest his head, in the crook of your arm, and you're like, well, now I'm stuck. Ben, how was your week?
My week was also really busy, but I had a bit of a traumatic experience last night.
Oh
no, what happened?
It's not funny. So my beautiful little kitten Como is an indoor cat, but we decided when we got him we were going to try to walk him, because you can do that with cats if you train them from an early age, but we got really lazy about it.
I have heard that cats can walk. Couldn't learn to walk with proper training. I think
it also depends on the cat too. Some just can't, some can.
That's true, but yeah, it's definitely true that Squeaks would have loved to walk if we had trained her on it sooner. But now it's she sees a harness.
Her around everywhere.
And we got her, or Como and him, 2 months, when he was 2 months old, so we could have been doing it the whole time, but we got really lazy about it. But we decided last night, since it was such a beautiful day, we were gonna bring him out, and he was doing really well. He was a little overwhelmed at first, and then he eventually got in the groove of it and was walking down the street, sauntering along, and eventually we just... Exactly.
Yeah. Humming that song. It was a sight to see.
Yeah, it was really weird. And then we decided it was time to bring him in, and so we start walking back towards our building, and he gets real interested about what's going on under a car right in front of the building, and then something, I still don't really know what it was, something spooks him. It was either someone walking by across the street, or a car driving by, or something, and he just jumps out of his harness.
Oh my gosh.
And runs under the car. And honestly, thank God it happened when he was under a car, because I think he was a little scared to leave that place, because he likes kind of small places, so I think he felt safe there. Mm-hmm. But so it was horrifying. We were trying to get him out by rustling leaves or drawing him out with treats, but he didn't seem to care. And eventually Kylie was like, one of us has to go in and get food. because that's the only way he's going to come out is for like his wet canned food. And it was the most horrifying prospect to be out there alone, because like before that we had been setting up so we were always on like either side of the car, like making sure one of us was at a possible escape route to grab him. But for like we realized it was the only way, so Kylie ran in while I watched him, and during that time like 3 cars drove by that spooked him, and it was really scary. But eventually she came out with a toy and some of his canned food and got him, and he wasn't trying to wriggle out of her hands too much or anything, so we got him in the building. And actually we got him in the she borrowed my keys to go up and get the food, and then when we got him in the building, we were like trying to open the front door like into the actual stairway, and I was like, where are the keys? And she was like, oh, I dropped them when I picked them up. So I had to like go back out and find the keys in the dark in front of that car and then come back in. But we got him in, and he was playing, and they ate his dinner, and now he's safe and sound, and he's perfect. So he's really happy that he's fine.
Did he wriggle out of his harness, or is it like, you know, when you see or hear about like when people get hit by a car, they like pop out of their shoes? Was it like one of those things where he just like popped right out of his harness?
He just dematerialized.
I think he just wriggled out of it.
It's apparated.
Although I kind of know what you mean. He kind of like jumped backwards, and it just seemed to like slip off.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was really scary.
That's scary.
I guess I didn't gather that it was. Yeah, I didn't gather that it was nighttime. The first time that we heard this story.
We went out at like 6ish. That's when I got home, and then so
that's
it wasn't
hard because he's black.
Yeah, and then it got dark like right as we were about to come in, and he was really hard to see under the car. So like when Kylie went in, he moved up to be like next to one of the tires, and I couldn't see him for like a minute, and I wasn't sure if he had run out, and I didn't notice or something. It was really scary.
Oh, baby.
Yeah, the fact that he is pure black made it really hard also.
Yeah.
So
I'm
scary.
glad he's okay.
Yeah.
Me too. I'm so glad.
Yeah.
It's a bad time of year to have a black cat just roaming around.
Yeah.
That's true.
I'm
I feel
referring
like
to
we used to
Halloween.
get warned about that.
Actually, before this happened, like right before he jumped out of the harness, he was walking onto the street, and Kylie goes, "Como, it's illegal for black cats to cross the street."
So it was a good walk before all
Yeah,
that
oh, it was
happened.
great. I have some videos of him walking. It was really cute.
Aw, a lot of memories.
Yeah, fond
Last-
memories and then just ruined.
Last
Footage.
time ever.
Yeah, footage of the last time.
Yeah, yep. So yeah, we're never taking him out again because it's just not worth the risk.
Yeah. It's scary. Squeaks here likes to act like she's allowed outside and just try to bolt out the door under our feet, and it's always very scary, even though she usually just likes to eat grass and stuff. But one time she went under my car, and even during broad daylight on a very not busy street, it was terrifying, and I had to yell at strangers about her. So I get it. So Ben, you said you had an idea for a new segment.
Yeah, I came up with it last week when I had to do a bunch of reading for one of my classes, and Kylie wasn't as busy, so she was just on the couch bored, and she decided that she
Read a book, Kylie.
she decided that in order to entertain herself, she would just ask me really weird questions to annoy me. And so I called this segment "Dumb Shit Kylie Asks Me When She's Bored and I'm Reading." So I have 3 of them from last week. I think this happens often enough that every couple episodes I'll have a few more.
Awesome.
We could maybe even discuss these if you want.
Okay.
Here's the first one. If you were a pirate, would you have short or long hair? What do you guys think?
I would be a bald pirate.
You'd be a bald pirate.
Yeah.
I think I'd have long hair.
Would I still be a woman, or would I be a man pirate?
Whatever you want to be.
You can be anything, Hannah.
Thank you. If I was a man pirate, I think I would have long hair like Johnny Depp. Because Pirates of the Caribbean is what I picture when I think about pirates.
I guess I wouldn't be a bald pirate unless I had like alopecia, because I guess I wouldn't like want to keep up with shaving. That would be annoying.
Yeah, that's what I was
pirate.
thinking. I'd probably have long hair because I'm a pirate. I
Yeah.
don't give a fuck about what my hair looks like. I'm just gonna let it grow. That's kind of what I do now.
I like the idea of a pirate with alopecia, because then you also wouldn't have eyebrows.
Yeah. It'd be pretty awesome.
You'd be really hard to read. Just good for pirate.
That's great. Yeah, that's an asset for a pirate. You know, I love the way my... Oh, sorry. I was going to say, I love the way that my hair is at the ocean. So I could imagine, like, living on the ocean, I would have, like, really great hair as a pirate.
Well...
This one is actually related to the ocean also. This next question.
Okay.
Do you think hammerhead sharks get stuck on things a lot? Probably.
Yeah. I think
There's nothing shaped like that.
I don't know where, like, what kind of environment they actually live in, because if they're out in open water...
Well, like, what if they find a boat, like a shipwreck, and they want to explore it?
Or like
all the portholes are circles.
Or like the coral reef, you know? They could get, like, stuck on a barnacle. I don't know.
Yeah, on a barnacle.
I don't know their life.
I don't even know how big their hammerheads are.
I actually don't either.
Cool.
Alright, I'm gonna ask the final question. This one's my favorite.
Okay.
Do you think really tall people should have 2 middle names?
Why isn't Kylie on this show?
I know, right? She should guess.
Absolutely.
That's the best bad question I've ever
Isn't it?
What do you think?
Because
what do you guys think?
Because they have a bigger middle.
Yeah. I think it depends where their height is. If the height's in the legs, then no. But if it's torso height, absolutely.
Yeah.
That's a long middle.
I think based on that criteria, I should have no middle name because I, like, have no torso to speak of. Like, we have to stop talking because I have none to speak of.
I kind of feel like... I listen to a lot of My Favorite Murder, so I kind of feel like the more middle names you have, the more likely you are to be a serial killer.
Absolutely.
Or just a murderer in general.
Yeah.
So.
But definitely, like, serial killer.
Do you think the taller you are, the more likely you are to be a serial killer?
No,
also?
that's the thing. I don't think that correlation is true. So
you would mess up the correlation.
I don't think they should have 2 middle names.
Alright. As a tall person, I do want 2 middle names, so I'm gonna say yes.
How tall are you, Ben?
Huh?
How tall are you?
6'3".
That's pretty tall, I guess. Good segment.
Yeah, great job,
Thanks.
Ben.
Thanks. Keeping up the tradition of praising ourselves immediately after we do things.
I have a correction from last week. It's just a small one.
I have a couple too. To go after you.
Okay. You're coming after me? This is not that kind of show, Aaron. We're all very friendly with each
I do have 2 middle names. So.
I was trying to tell that story about Ian on the phone with his mom, like repeating the same phrase over and over again, and I didn't feel I was getting across why it was funny, and the reason. After Ian listened to it, he reminded me that the phrase itself was very funny, that he was trying to say. It wasn't, like, incredibly awesome, which is what I said. It was marginally Buddhist. was the phrase he was trying to say.
That's better.
So, marginally, like, over. So that's mine.
I have 2. One is that well, this is more like I realized that I did this. I called the Myers-Briggs the Briggs-Myers a couple times. So that's one of them.
I did not notice that ever.
Second one is that the movie that I was recommending is not called The Handmaid. It's called The Handmaiden.
Oh, okay.
So that's my B.
But still don't watch it until you read.
Don't fucking watch it if you haven't read
Fingerlings.
Fingerlings.
Eat some fingerling potatoes, read Fingersmith the book, and then you can watch The Handmaiden. You can only listen to that correction if you've read Fingersmith. Like, this is how serious.
There was something else, Aaron, that you had said you meant to mention about Molly's personality type and your personality type. I don't know if you want to get into it or not.
Yeah, I think I had a rambling piece about, I think I said, what's really interesting, like, 15 times, and then, like, never said anything interesting. But I think what I meant to point out about our personality types are that they were just complimenting. That it mentioned that my personality type is really into like introverted intuitives, which Molly is. So just that we're compatible, which I don't need no personality test to tell me.
Okay.
But it's nice
and
to
this
hear.
is gonna sound sort of creepy coming after what you just said, but I feel like this might be part of why you and I have been so close our whole lives too, because like our family is very loud and wild and rambunctious, and while I enjoy it very much, I'm not always great at participating in it because of my introversion and stuff. Like, I'll laugh at the jokes, but I don't speak up, and so, like, I feel like there's a lot of our family that, well, I mean, everybody knows and loves each other, but, like, there are not many people who seek out my company as much as you do, Erin.
Gotcha. I think I know what you mean. Like, my personality type is very intrigued by introverted people, and some people aren't, like, as interested in, like, taking the time to really, like, dig into those sorts of people.
Exactly, yeah. Oh, and then I also wanted to just share with you guys a really great conversation that I had with Ben's and my mom. Because she's an avid listener, and
hey, shout out to our avid listener.
Yeah.
Hey, Aunt Liz.
Well, we were talking about it actually just now. If we got everybody in our family to listen to this, that would be actually a pretty good start, because we have a huge family.
That's true.
But like, we got one more this week, Lucas, who we talked shit about in the first episode, really liked.
I don't think we talked shit about him. I think we just, like, credited all of his humor to ourselves.
Right. Oh, that's right. Yeah.
Right. But he didn't seem
we
to
trained
mention
him.
it. Yeah. But we were talking about, like, how that part where Ben said that he thinks we get our ability to just, like, walk away from uninteresting conversations from her, and or our propensity for it, but she calls it a skill. She's like,
it's all about how you frame it.
Yeah, she was like, this probably says a lot about me, huh, that I think of it as a skill. And I was like, yeah.
I think it's nice. I would love to, like, be able to walk away from a conversation and not worry that the people were, like, having their feelings hurt, you know?
I kind of think of it as a skill. I don't disagree with that.
Yeah, no, me too. I mean,
it's definitely something not everyone can do.
Like, if I could have any quality, it would be sassy. Like, I would love to be a sassy person, but an element to being sassy is not only, like, having, like, snappy comebacks and, like, being extremely self-assured, but it's also, like, not giving a shit if the person you're being sassy at, like, cares, or, like, if their feelings were hurt. Mm-hmm. So maybe as I get...
struggle.
I'm always thinking, like, as I get older, maybe, when I'm an old lady, I'll be like, I don't give a fuck, you know?
You'd be sassy.
Yeah.
Well, it is, like, it's very freeing when you just decide that you're, like, not gonna worry about what every person thinks of you. And it's something that, like, I have actively tried to cultivate in my personality. It's like, there are people whose opinion matters and people whose opinion don't, at least at this moment in my life. And I try, like, really hard to not spend any of my energy on worrying about the people whose opinion is not going to affect my life at all. And
sometimes I find a little bit of joy if I know somebody has a bad opinion of me, like, you know, like a douchey, like, white bro. I'm like, they probably don't like me, and I feel pretty great about that. Speaking of our family, we've talked about maybe during Thanksgiving when we're all together, recording a bunch of episodes with our family as guest stars. I think that's a really interesting idea, and I hope that we do that. And now I'm mentioning it in the podcast to kind of seal our fate. So
our fate has been sealed.
Yeah.
So then, do you want to talk about inside jokes? Also, speaking of our family.
Yeah, I hadn't put much thought into it. Should we talk about quiz call?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Do one of you, since I kind of brought it up last time, do one of you want to talk about quiz call?
Sure. So when we were in London, same trip that we talked, the Allow It trip that we talked about last time, Erin and I would stay up really late watching TV in England, but after it gets past like 8 o'clock or so, the TV just becomes quiz call. It's like just quiz call all night. And what quiz call is like some dumb question that, like, there's a dozen answers to on the board, like something that is yellow, for instance, and like and like, I don't know where they get the answers to the questions. Was it like the most popular? Was it like Family Feud style?
Yeah,
like the
I
most
think
popular
so.
ones? And then they give a phone number, and you can call in to answer the question, and if you get it right, then you win money. But obviously, it's not a toll-free number. It's like you call and you have to pay for the time that you're on the phone, and that's how they make money. And all the answers are so fucking obscure and dumb that nobody ever gets them. And the other thing that Aaron and I really picked up on watching it for like hours at a time is that people don't watch anything before they call in or look at what's already been guessed at any point. And I think
God, yeah. That happened a lot.
a lot. There would just be like person after person after person guessing the same exact things, and so like it became like a hate watching, maybe my first hate watching experience, where Aaron and I would just stay up yelling at the TV while everyone went to sleep. Like, they already guessed that 15 times. Like, I don't know why we were so invested in it, but I think we watched it every night.
The hosts were also really lovely, like a really nice, like put together woman, and she would be like, "I'm sorry, my sausage, that's not right," or whatever. But, like, so a couple jokes in our family came out of this. I think, so there's a whole quiz call song, which maybe I should revisit my old journals. I think I have the lyrics, so maybe we'll, like, come back to the quiz call song. But there was one thing I wanted to mention, because you're like, things that are yellow. Like, we had a joke, maybe you can help me flesh this out, but it was like, people would guess stupid things, and so we would start being like
things that are yellow, and it was like I don't even know that it got any more specific than that. Like, was it things in the city that are yellow?
No, I don't think so, because we would be like, a spoon dipped in yellow paint.
Yeah, people call it, yes, like the stupidest thing. So Aaron started just being like, dipped in yellow paint. Like,
so dipped in yellow paint is something I think about all the time. But it's one of those inside jokes that, like, nobody else knows what I'm talking. Because sometimes they'll be like, dipped in yellow paint. And they'll be like, what is dipped in yellow paint? I'm sorry. Nothing.
You'll be like, hey, do you have 10 minutes for me to explain this?
Yeah, it's a long one, too.
And you do. And this is our podcast, and we can talk about it all we want. Because...
Yeah. So, quiz call meet world. I liked it when you said that last week.
Good, thank you.
I think that's enough segments for today.
Oh, man, don't we have, like, Ianisms? Sorry.
Yeah, I mean, I think I have one.
Okay.
Okay.
What are they called again?
Terminology.
Yeah, that's right. So when we use our exercise bike that we have in the living room, instead of calling it biking or exercising or anything logical, we call it sit running. Just because one time I accidentally called it running, so now we call it sit running.
I love that.
Or, like, sometimes Ian will be like, I'm gonna go for a run, and I'll forget what he's talking about and, like, stare at him for 5 seconds, and then, oh, you mean sit running.
Because you're like, why would you ever do that?
Yeah, why would anyone? That's insane.
I stared at him blankly because that's not in the possible options.
Right. No, it's really not. It would be insane. Aaron, you are up first.
Oh,
for
great.
Your obsession.
I have a short one.
Okay.
This week.
We always say that, you know.
We do always say that. I'm gonna stop saying that. So I went to, you know how it goes when you, like, go see a concert and then you're, like, obsessed with that artist for, like, a week, the week after. So that's kind of where I'm at. I saw Rufus Wainwright on Thursday night. He came to Durham. And for those listening who don't know off the top of their head who Rufus Wainwright is, the thing you would know most by him is he covered Leonard Cohen's Hallelujah. I think probably the most famous cover of that song, which I think debuted on the Shrek soundtrack.
I believe
I think so.
Yeah.
Do you remember? And then it, like, when it came out on DVD or something, it was a different version.
Yes.
Of it. They pulled their
really?
Right?
Yes. Yeah.
Why? It's so good.
It's so good.
It's strange.
But yeah, he came to town, and he comes to town to Durham about every other year, I think. And this is the first time I saw him, and it was just him. There was no band. It was like just him, with playing piano and guitar, and it was just gorgeous. He has this incredibly like deep, beautiful voice that listening to it live was better than like obviously like sometimes really good artists are better than the recordings, but this is like his voice has gotten so much better over time, to the point where, you know, listening back to the recordings, like his voice is more bold and beautiful and flawless than in any of the recordings, which is really impressive because he's getting, you know, he's getting a little older. I don't know how old he is, but
he's looking more and more like his dad these days.
Yeah, that's exactly what I thought. His dad, Lin-Manuel Wainwright. Something I really like about his music. So he's a fucking genius, Rufus Wainwright. His songwriting is really, you know, when I first started listening to him, I was like, oh, I don't like many of these songs. But then I got into, I think right around your wedding, Hannah, I really got into a Rufus Wainwright kick where I was listening to all of his music, and I'm like, actually, all of this music is brilliant. Like, all of his songwriting is really interesting. But he has this really fraught relationship with his dad and writes about it a lot and is, like, really upfront about it. So a lot of, one of my favorite songs by him that he played on Thursday, it's called Dinner at 8, and it's, like, this really candid song about...
That's a great song.
Oh, it's such a good song. About his dad. And in the concert, he started to talk about his dad, and then he was like, you know what? Let's not go there. He's like, you know what? Don't go there. Let's not do this tonight or whatever. And so, it's just, you know, a funny, he's just very humorous, and he has this incredibly, like, deep and rich voice, but when he talks, he's like this, like, flamboyant gay man. It's like this really lovely, it was just lovely. I just love him. So
yeah, I feel like I've heard him talk before and been like, wow, that's Rufus Wainwright when he talks.
Yeah.
Like, it's very different.
He played this Leonard Cohen song, not Hallelujah, he did play that later. But he played, I don't remember what the song was, Marianne, I think.
I don't know that song.
I don't know if that's the entire name of the song. And it was very good. It was good, but it was a long song, as Leonard Cohen do. And he ends the song and he's telling us that, you know, he was actually friends with Leonard Cohen, and that, you know, Leonard Cohen would say, oh, it takes me about 10 years to write a song. And Rufus was like, well, Leonard, sometimes it takes 10 years to sing it, or something. And it was just like, so funny and sassy, and I was having one of those moments where I was, like, laughing really hard, and then everybody else moved on, and I was, like, not ready to move on yet, and he was, like, already playing another song, and I was, like, still not over it.
Wait, did you guys hear him say that? Were you here, guys? That was amazing.
Yeah. I was, like, still laughing. I was like... That was an example of my laugh. And one more, just a fun fact that I wanted to mention about Rufus before we move on is that I don't know why I was Googling it, but I was Googling, like, Rufus Wainwright Hamilton, just, like, out of curiosity to see what was...
Just anything you're interested in, you just Google next to Hamilton to see what comes up.
Well, it was in my, like, several months of, like, Hamilton obsession. I was actually thinking this morning that if we had started this podcast, like, last year, around this time, like, every week it would be like, well, this week I'm obsessed with Hamilton.
This week I'm obsessed with this song from Hamilton.
Guys, no joke, my obsession this week is In the Heights.
Oh, yes! I'm so excited to talk about that. But anyway, the original casting call for Hamilton cites the King George character as a mix between Rufus Wainwright meets King Herod from Jesus Christ Superstar. So I thought that was funny.
Huh.
It was like one of those things where I was like, oh, two of my favorite things. Maybe there's an interesting fact about them, and there was.
Great job. Rufus Wainwright's vibrato is one of those. There's like two singers I've ever experienced in my life. He's one of them. The other one was actually someone who used to sing with my mom in church, whose vibrato, like, vibrates my entire body when it gets going. Like,
Vibrato's your entire body?
Yes. It's just like, it's like my entire body resonates with it, I guess I should say. Do you know what I mean?
I know what you mean. Like, we had great seats and we were right in front of the speakers, and it was just like his piano and his voice, and I just felt bathed in his voice. It was just enveloped in it, just like so incredible, and it was like so full and like flawless, and just didn't miss a note. Like, you know, it didn't crack. It was just like full and beautiful. So I know exactly what you mean. I was like still vibratoing.
I think about In a Graveyard a lot. That's a short song.
I love that song.
It's just like, it's very good. Well, we'll give people plenty of starter songs to
Absolutely.
Great job, Aaron.
listen to.
Thanks,
Aaron,
Ben.
that was the best segment ever. Great job.
Thanks, you guys. What supportive co-hosts. You lift me up.
Even though you're coming after me. Ben, you're next.
All right, I already spoiled mine. Well, mine, actually, it's not just In the Heights. It's just Lin-Manuel Miranda in general.
Snapping.
Because,
He's so great.
He's amazing, and I've been reminded of it in particular lately with the Hurricane Maria hitting Puerto Rico so hard, and he's doing so much work to try and help with that situation. He's like writing a new song that's going to guest star a whole bunch of people from Hamilton and other stuff he's done, and from like the Hamilton mixtape, all together. And I'm really excited for that, and I'm definitely going to buy it so the money goes to Puerto Rico.
Oh, yeah.
But, like, in particular, I started listening to In the Heights this past summer a lot when as much as I love Hamilton, I, like, had to stop only listening to Hamilton, you know?
Yeah, so eventually you have to, like, intervention yourself with Hamilton.
So instead I veered off to In the Heights.
Which is the perfect, like, you know, it lets you...
it weans you off.
Weans you off, that's the word.
Yeah,
okay.
yeah.
Can you cut out my incoherent babbling there?
At this point, I've listened to In the Heights so much, and it's still, since the summer, like, if I don't know what music to listen to, I just put on In the Heights, because, like, it's so good, and I think I might like it more than Hamilton now. Might be controversial to say that, but it's, like, it's so fucking good. And I think part of why it's so good is that it's a lot more personal for Lin-Manuel than Hamilton is, because it's like, you know, obviously he wrote it about like where he grew up and everything, and it's the fact that whereas Hamilton takes place over a whole lifetime, In the Heights is just 3 days, so you get like it's just like a really nice look into the characters' lives, like real deep look, I feel like. And I don't know, just Lin-Manuel being successful makes me so happy, because he's such like a genuinely kind and sweet person, and talented person who just like used his talent to be successful and then help others as much as possible with that success. Like, if you don't follow Lin-Manuel on Twitter,
yes, I was just going to talk about his Twitter.
You really need to, because he is just a delight every day. Like, every day he's like, "Good morning, do something good today," and like every night he's like, "Good night, everyone."
And also, like he has such sweet interactions with anybody that adds him. Not anybody, but like the other night somebody tweeted that they had a dream that Lin-Manuel noticed them on Twitter, and so they were gonna go take a nap and hope their dream came true. And he fucking retweeted it and was like, #dreams come true. Like, said all this nice stuff to her.
I love him.
Yeah, or like people were tweeting about him being in BoJack Horseman, and he'd just like retweet them and be like, "I did it for you."
Oh my god,
he's just a sweetheart.
When he went on vacation for 6 weeks, I realized how much I missed him on Twitter when he came back, because he was like gone from social media for a while.
I love In the Heights, and in April, I guess it was UNC. One of the colleges here was doing a student production. And we went and saw it, and it was fine. Like, that's a hard musical to do.
Yeah,
like it's really intricate. And I thought it was great, and it was just like so lovely to see it. Even, you know, obviously I hope I get to see it with a professional, you know, cast and crew someday. But it was so good. It was so good to. There are moments in the soundtrack where I'm like, oh, that was a weird. You know, I think there are some songs where it kind of ends without resolution. I'll just say there are like 2 kisses in the show that made a lot of the songs make sense. I was like, that song ends in a kiss.
The thing about In the Heights is that it like it's not like Hamilton where it's completely sung through. So like what I did to really make the it actually meaningful to me was I read the synopsis of it on like Wikipedia,
mm-hmm.
and that really helped
Yeah.
to like make the songs actually, like they made the songs better because I like, actually knew what was going on, you know.
You know what song is like one of my favorites? In
I was going to ask you what your favorite was. This is perfect.
I mean, all of them, but the one that I really love that I find just so moving every time I hear it is the one that Abuela is singing about coming to America, and just like the
Paciencia y Fe.
Yeah. The one where like the thing I love about it is just the songwriting is so good because like throughout the whole song he's weaving this imagery of like birds, you know, flying to, gosh, Obrivola? I don't know where, but basically like this like imagery of birds flying away like throughout the whole song, and it's just kind of like in the end, you know, when she's like throughout her childhood and throughout her struggles like in America, and then, you know, now in the present day, you know, watching these birds fly away. I don't know, it's just like a really, really, really beautiful song.
I remember that song. I get 96,000 stuck in my head a lot.
That's a good one.
My favorite right now is Blackout, because I really like Lin-Manuel songs where he like combines a whole bunch of musical themes all together, like Nonstop and Hamilton is a similar kind of song. I love both of those.
It's like all the rivers kind of combine in the ocean
exactly.
of the song.
But I also really, really like Enough, which is the song that oh fuck, what's the character's name? Nina, that Nina's mom sings when she finds, when Nina's parents find her with Benny. Because, like, I don't know, it's just the line where it's like, for months you lied to us, what did we do to make you think we wouldn't do anything and everything for you? The first time I heard that, I like instantly started tearing up. It's just like such a sweet sentiment, and there's something about seeing like really good parenting and stuff is like heartwarming, because I feel like there's a lot of shitty parenting done nowadays. So like when you see someone react the right, like that's like the perfect way I think to react in that situation. If you're a mother, it's like, don't be mad at her for lying to you, be mad at her for like, or don't be mad at her for doing what she did, be mad at her for not telling you about it so that you could help her.
Right. And I like that's in that song too, way. Like that character is also mad at her husband, Nina's dad.
Yeah.
But in the song she's like, you need to apologize, don't apologize to me, apologize to your father, you know?
Yeah, exactly.
Ugh, good one, Ben.
So good. So good. I could talk for hours about
I know that he would want us to mention, and we'll do it again in homework, that that he's raising money for the Hispanic, it's for Puerto Rico, and through HispanicFederation.org/donate.
Yeah.
He's ending all his tweets with that right now, so I'm sure he would appreciate us mentioning that. And obviously there's a whole lot of need there right now, so.
I donated $10 today after I saw Trump's tweets.
Oh, man.
I was waiting to get paid, but now I've been paid, so I'll go do it today.
I'm going to do that today too, you guys.
Good.
Yeah.
We should tag Lin-Manuel in our Way Too Broad tweet.
Straight up, I just retweeted one of his wonderful Good Morning posts from our Way Too Broad account. And I quote tweeted it saying that we're talking about him right now. So,
real time.
Yeah. Are we ready for mine?
I can't wait to hear it,
yes,
Hannah.
But I have a really, really funny tweet I want to read from Lin-Manuel, but I have to find it. So is it okay if I interrupt you mid your explanation just to read it real quick?
Definitely.
Okay. Once I find it. All right.
All right. So mine is slightly more frivolous than both of yours, but it's a Japanese reality show called Terrace House.
Oh.
That Ian and I have been watching it for a while now. I did learn about it from the McElroy brothers, because all of a sudden, like maybe a year ago, they were just constantly mentioning it to each other, like everybody should know what it is. And so I looked it up, and it ended up completely falling in love with it for many of the same reasons that they discussed. It's unlike any other reality show that I've watched. Like, the closest in kind of, like, tone or level of niceness would probably be, like, Great British Bake Off.
Oh,
like,
man.
in that they're all just, like, friendly and nice to each other. Like, there's no, like, cattiness or anything. But the format is extremely different. Did you find it, Ben?
Yeah, I did.
What is it?
My son wrote a song called I Just Want to Eat Bread Now. I knew he'd surpass me, but not so soon.
I just want to eat bread now?
Yeah.
I would buy that song.
Oh, and then someone said, tweet the lyrics, and he said, oh, I did. The title contains all the lyrics.
That's so great.
He needs to tweet a video of it so we can all sing it. I picture it's the tune from I Think We're Alone Now. Like, I just want to eat bread now. Like that.
That's brilliant. That's going to be stuck in my head all day.
That's a good song.
Tonight I'm going to be like, do you like want like a crusty loaf with dinner? Like for some reason, I'm just feeling.
Crusty loaf is one of the least appetizing phrases I can think of.
Why did you choose that?
I mean, because you clearly have not had a delicious crusty loaf. Like to me, I'm like my mouth is watering right now. I can't wait to put a crusty loaf right in my mouth, right in my bread hole.
Oh, you killed me. Did you say in my bread hole?
Yes.
Put that crusty loaf right in my bread hole. I'm dead.
Mouths are only for bread.
Okay.
Terrace house.
Terrace house. So basically, what Terrace house is every season they like rent a different house somewhere, and they move in 3 young men and 3 young women who generally all happen to be single, but as they say at the beginning of the show, actually, hang on. Let me see.
Are they single and ready to mingle?
Terrace house intro. It always starts like this. Everybody says, "Konbanwa," and then everybody else says it. And then they say Terrace house. I can't find it.
We like delayed an hour so you could research your thing.
Well, I said what I was doing was watching more episodes of it. So
I feel like we were gently lied to.
It is research.
Research.
And well, what it is they move those people into the house, and then they just those people still like they have goals they're trying to accomplish. They have jobs outside of the house. They go on dates if they feel like it, but there's no like games or anything that's like producer led. It's just like, you guys are all going to live in this house. There's a lot of cameras around, but they're all static cameras. Like, they're not camera people in there with them. And then they just like go about their lives. So that's very different from like, it's like in the setup, it's similar to Big Brother, but there's fewer people and there are like no challenges, no games, no nothing like that. It's just like 6 people getting to know each other. And if there are like usually it's like the things that they are focusing on are like a professional goal of some kind, or a personal or professional goal, and or finding someone to date in the house. So the other thing that makes it really unique is that people can leave whenever they want. So if you come into the house and you are finding it difficult to focus on your goal in the house, or you come in and you accomplish whatever you came in to do, like a lot of times there'll be like this big culminating event where like one time this woman was trying to start a hat brand, and she was like working all the time on the hat brand, and she like wasn't even there that much because she was off other places working on it, and the camera will follow them sometimes to like where they're allowed to go, like out on dates or out when they go to work and stuff, like so you get to see like kind of people's daily lives in like the first season I watched was in Tokyo. That's where it was set. So a lot of people who moved into the house actually already had like careers that they were working on in Tokyo. So you got to kind of see what their daily life was as like young Japanese people, which was really cool. And it's like interesting from a cultural perspective to watch them, but also it's really sweet because like this girl who was trying to start her hat brand, like there happened to be a guy there at the same time who was like a carpenter. And so she asked him for help on like figuring out a cool way for her to display her hats in her new space that she was working on. And he would come in on like his weekends and help her like get set up and build things for her and stuff like that. And they all went over to help her like decorate the space before she had her big opening event.
Oh, that's
and
so
then
nice.
Yeah. And then they all attended it. And then like she, after that, she was like, I really feel like I did what I needed to do. Like, I'm going to go now and just, like, keep working on my, my brand and my dream. And she left. And when someone leaves, they bring another person in of the same, like, gender. So there's always this shifting social dynamic in the house, like, people coming in and out. Or, like, sometimes when people pair off, like, when they do form couples, which is, like, surprisingly rare, once they've, like, really settled with each other and the kind of trauma has dissipated that may have come up, they often decide to leave at that point because they want to, like, make room for more people who are, like, still looking to connect with other people. So, but then sometimes they will still come back and visit. Like, there's kind of an open door policy for, like, friends to visit and like siblings and also former guests or former housemates and things to come back and visit if they want to, or they meet them out places. Like, it's just very sweet. And then you see them afterwards, like they do form real connections, and afterwards, like, they still hang out with each other. So it's just
like young professionals living in a house for free.
Yeah, basically.
That's so nice.
Yeah. it's very sweet. It's like soothing to watch. But the other thing that is really fun and hilarious, and also really helpful for someone who's watching from an outside perspective, is that they have this panel where I actually just realized, I think it's also 3 men and 3 women, but they're all kind of older than the people who live in the house, and or they're kind of varying ages, but they're just a bunch of, like, people who I think are kind of famous in Japan, and are just funny people, and insightful people, and they always sit in the same spots on these couches, and they watch the episodes together, like, with you. And so it'll be like halfway through the episode, you'll cut away from the show, goes in week increments, so you'll watch a week's worth of kind of whatever interesting happened in the house that was edited down. So what's also kind of interesting about that is that, like, things can be a very slow burn. Like, there can be weeks when barely anything happens, and you're just watching a lot of people, like, sitting around tables or, like, cooking or, like, stuff like that. Mm-hmm. But then there are other weeks where, like, all kinds of shit goes down.
Shit. Nice, considerate shit.
I mean, there is also drama sometimes, but, like, so these are the other mechanics that I really like. The panel, because if there's something that's happening that you are, like, feeling a certain way about, or you are, like, observing a strange thing happening in a scene or whatever, and, like, so many times I've been like, why did she say that? I don't understand. And then, like, it goes to the panel and they say exactly the things that I just said. Like, they're, like, your friends who are, like, watching with you. And they'll do things like, they'll, like, say what they want to happen and, like, imagine these scenarios, or sometimes they get kind of saucy and, like, make, like, sexual innuendo jokes. And, like, yeah, and they're just, like, they have, like, fun dynamics with each other. They add a lot of, like, lighthearted fun to the show. And also, another thing is that the only way you learn what's going on in people's heads, really, is, like, watching them interact with other people in the house. They're not, like, telling a camera what's going on in their heads, like they often are in reality shows. So it's a really nice, just, like, relaxing show to watch with lots of sweet young professionals.
It makes me think of, like, there's that type of show was, or slash still is, really popular where there are no likable characters, Yeah, but it's Always Sunny. Like, I hate those shows. Yeah. I hate them. I hate watching them. I know a lot of people enjoy them, but it's like the Great British Bake Off. Or, like, the show, it sounds like. Like, I want to watch shows where there are no unlikable characters, where all it is like, or, like, what Ben was saying about what he really likes about that song and In the Heights. It's just, like, or, like, what things I like about, like, When Mississippi. I just want to see people being sweet to each other and genuine to each other, like, loving each other and doing it well,
Yep.
That's, like, what I want to spend my time watching.
Yes. That's the same reason I'm, like, obsessed with McElroy content lately. I feel like the more difficult things get outside of, like, the media that I take in, the less interested I am in, like, watching or listening to stuff that is, like, a downer.
Exactly. Yeah.
Because there's so many stresses outside of things that I voluntarily put myself through.
Right. Yeah.
So that's mine. And
where do you watch this show?
Yes, I watch it on Netflix.
Oh.
There are 2 seasons on Netflix, and if you or anybody listening is going to try this show, I would suggest you start with Boys and Girls in the City. So there's 2. There's Terrace House Boys and Girls in the City, which is the one that takes place in Tokyo. And then there's Terrace House Aloha State, which takes place in Hawaii. It's crazy that it took me so long to remember that with a name like Aloha State. And
Aloha State. It takes place in Minnesota.
Kentucky. Yeah. And like that, it's good, but it's not as like steeped in Japanese culture. Obviously, like there's a lot more English speaking in it and stuff, and it's probably like very interesting for their Japanese audience, but it's not as interesting for me as an American. So, and also it's fun because like you go back, you look at the marketing materials for Aloha State, and everybody who's on that like who's like on the picture that you might see if you pull it up on Netflix is not there anymore. Like they just like people just one person goes, like they all start leaving.
That's so interesting.
It's really interesting. It's like a really
there's
cool
like
dynamic.
no competition aspect to it whatsoever. Or anything.
No.
It's just like people living. Wow.
Yeah. It's just like, I mean, sometimes there's like romantic competition that kind of comes up naturally.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, it's great. I highly recommend it.
Noted.
So that's mine.
Great segment.
Thank you. Oh yeah, I was feeling left out there.
Good segment.
So if you guys have a favorite show that you want to tell us about, or any comments on anything we talked about today, or anything, you can email us at waytoobroad@gmail.com. Do you have homework?
Yeah,
for our listeners?
I'll start in with homework. Listen to some Rufus Wainwright. All of his stuff is on Spotify. Oh, I meant to mention another reason why he's just brilliant is that his last two albums, one was an opera. He wrote an opera, and the other was a collection of Shakespeare sonnets that he put to music. And he said he's finishing up his second opera, and it's about to like debut in Canada. So he's just a fucking genius. But just listen to it. There's a Vibrato, I think is the name of the album. It's a best of album. The deluxe edition on Spotify is really great. That's a good place to start. And I had another piece of homework unrelated. I was thinking that, I've been with my lesbian movie reviews Instagram account. I've been watching a lot of movies, so I thought I might just sneak in like a recommended movie or like a movie to avoid off of the ones that I've watched this week. And so a recommend this week is Carol with Cate Blanchett and Rooney Mara is on Netflix, and it's so good. I love it.
Okay.
So put that on your list.
Sounds good.
All right.
Did you review it?
Yeah, I reviewed it.
Okay, good.
It would be good if you wanted to kind of hold out. It'd be a good movie to watch around Christmas. It's not a Christmas movie, but
it's a long time to hold out.
It's Christmas in the movie. Yeah, when you're getting in that spirit. Or you can watch it now and rewatch it at Christmas, which is what I did and
that's the cool thing about movies is that you can watch them as many times as you want.
I'm such a freaking rewatcher too. Like I'm a rereader, a re-listener, and a rewatcher. A resayer. Repeater. I'm a repeater.
Just a repeater, yeah.
What's your homework, Ben?
I also want to hijack homework to say something I forgot about In the Heights, which is I also really, really love Christopher Jackson's voice. He's George Washington in Hamilton, and he's more prominently featured in the Heights because he's like one of the four big main characters, and he just has such an amazing voice, and he has like a few studio albums that I plan on listening to, and I think other people should too. He
does?
Yeah. So for my real homework, what you should do: listen to Hamilton, listen to In the Heights, follow Lin-Manuel on Twitter, and donate to HispanicFederation.org. HispanicFederation.org/donate.
Yeah.
To help Puerto Rico.
Fantastic.
Oh my! I also totally forgot that fucking Lin-Manuel wrote or co-wrote a lot of music in Moana, which is an amazing soundtrack. Also,
and
that
Christopher
I've
Jackson also.
And Christopher Jackson is in.
He is in that. I get
first song.
That At night we name every star. We know who we are.
Mm-hmm.
We know where
we know the way. The one that Lin-Manuel sings.
Away,
it's so good.
I know all the words to that song.
Yeah.
I actually rewatched Moana because one time I got home from work and Kylie was just 45 minutes into it randomly. I don't know why she was watching it, and then I was like, I haven't seen this yet.
You
Can
don't
we
know why
restart?
she
and
wasn't
then we all
watching it.
watched it.
Because it's great, and it made me cry like 3 times.
It's so good. I love it.
Saw it
at the beginning.
Oh, we saw it together, Hannah, and then I rewatched it on an airplane and like wept on an airplane. And then every time I listen to the soundtrack, like the song where she's like, "I am Moana," like when she's talking to her grandma and she's like, "I will carry you here in my heart. You remind me." I like cry.
And by the way, she recorded that when she was like 14 or 15.
Man,
that girl's amazing.
It's amazing. It's amazing.
That's so good.
Shout out to her. I think it's Auli Cravallo. I think that's her name.
Everybody watch Moana and listen to the soundtrack. The Moana soundtrack is on Spotify.
Yep, and it's so good.
Can I just take this opportunity to mention? I don't know if the CISO. I know CISO is soon to be defunct, but I don't know if is the channel still operational?
I don't know. Ben, you've been watching it more recently, I think.
I haven't watched it in a while.
Ben, do you know about Freestyle Love Supreme?
No.
Oh, Ben. So it's Lin-Manuel Miranda's freestyle group, and it's basically like their format is like a improv comedy show where they take audience suggestions,
that's awesome.
but then they do freestyle rap, and it's on CISO.
It looks like it's still up.
Cool. So it's on CISO. You should watch it. And I think episode 2 or 3 has a really great segment that everybody should watch. And I'm going to actually send Hannah a link to put in the podcast description.
Okay.
To a really great clip.
Good.
But I think you'll enjoy that particularly, Ben.
All right. I look forward to it. Also, shout out to The Rock for being really good.
Yeah, he was good.
Fucking,
I get You're Welcome stuck in my head a lot.
I smelled
me too.
what he was cooking in that.
And listen, while we're giving shout outs to Moana cast, Jermaine Clement.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so good.
He was great.
Absolutely.
So.
A lot of shout outs today.
Yeah.
We're like pretty much shouting this whole episode.
I'd also like to shout in to Aaron and Ben for being great co-hosts.
I'm shouting in back right to you. Hannah,
same.
Hannah, our fearless leader.
My homework is to watch Terrace House. As I said, it's on Netflix. Start with Boys and Girls in the City. And I will warn everybody that, as I said, there are some weeks when things don't happen, but they are very religious about keeping it like to a week at a time. So the first few weeks tend to be like just a lot of people trying to get to know each other, and so they're not as interesting. But it kind of makes it all the more sweet when the drama does happen, and it's fascinating. Also, what types of things drama springs up around, and I won't get more specific than that, but. You know, it's almost like when you like think about it from the outside, it's like they've brought you so much into their world that you're like right on board with whatever the drama is about. But it's like when you have a fight with your roommate or whatever, and then you go try to tell your friends about it and you end up sounding crazy. It's like that kind of stuff, but you're like exactly there with them. Not all the time. Sometimes it's bigger stuff than that, but I don't want to spoil anything. And then after that, you can watch Aloha State, which is also very good, and it's kind of fun to listen to them speak English. And then everybody's on Twitter also. Way Too Broad is Too Broad Pod. Even though
don't know where the pod came from.
I know. Even though it's an ear snack, I don't know. My Twitter is Anthropology, which is anthropology with an H at the beginning, but anthropology like the study of people, not the store.
Mine's N.E. Disco Greg.
And mine's Ernburn, ERNBRN, and you can follow me on Instagram at Lesbian Movie Reviews.
Hooray! And also, please, if you enjoyed the podcast or your snack today, please leave us a rating and a review on iTunes or wherever, and subscribe and tell your friends and everything.
Your cat's been licking his butthole behind you for like 5 minutes.
Excuse me, licking her butthole?
I'm so sorry. I did not mean to misgender squeaks. Buttholes are gender neutral, actually.